America, land of the free. A place where dreams are supposed to come true, where hard work and determination are meant to be rewarded. Home of the unemployed aircraft mechanic? It sounds like a bad joke, but for many it's a harsh reality. It's a punchline that's a little too close to reality these days, folks. The lines at job centers are growing longer, and the faces in those lines are growing more desperate. Boeing, America's biggest airplane manufacturer, just shut down 5 plants across the country. These aren't just buildings, they're lifelines for entire communities. 14,000 people are out of work. That's not just a number, it's 14,000 stories of uncertainty and hardship. Let that sink in for a minute. 14,000 individuals, each with their own hopes, dreams, and responsibilities, now facing an uncertain future. 14,000 families wondering where their next paycheck is coming from. And the reason? It's not just bad luck or poor management. Well, let's just say it rhymes with schmumps schmarifs. Yes, the trade policies that were supposed to protect American jobs are now costing them. Now some folks might say, but John, businesses close all the time, and they'd be right, but this isn't just any business, this is Boeing. But this isn't just any business, this is Boeing. A cornerstone of American industry, a symbol of our technological prowess. They build the planes that connect our country, the planes that fly our troops. Their work is integral to both our economy and our national security. And now, thanks to some ill-advised trade policies, they're struggling to stay afloat. The ripple effects are being felt far and wide. This isn't about tough choices or creative destruction. This is about livelihoods being destroyed by decisions made far from the factory floor. This is about the real-world consequences of a trade war nobody asked for and nobody's winning. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. This is about the American worker getting squeezed from all sides. The very people who are the backbone of our nation are being left to fend for themselves. And frankly, it's about as un-American as it gets. We owe it to these workers, to these families, to do better. Because when they suffer, we all suffer. So, how did we get here? How did one of the most iconic names in aviation, a company that has been a symbol of American ingenuity and industrial might, find itself in such a precarious position? How did a company like Boeing, a titan of American industry, end up in this mess? The answer is a complex web of economic policies, international relations, and unforeseen consequences. Well, it all starts with tariffs. Remember those? The economic tools that were supposed to protect American jobs and industries? Those things Trump promised would bring back American jobs? They were meant to level the playing field, but the reality turned out to be quite different. Yeah, about that. It wasn't just a minor inconvenience, it was a significant hit to Boeing's bottom line. See, Trump slapped a 10% tariff on parts Boeing imports from Japan and Italy. You know, those essential components you need to build a giant metal bird that can safely carry hundreds of people across the ocean. These aren't just any parts, they're highly specialized and critical to the safety and functionality of the aircraft. Turns out making airplanes is a tad more complicated than assembling pre-made kits. Each part has to meet stringent safety standards and precise specifications. Who knew? The increased costs had a ripple effect throughout the entire production process. These tariffs meant Boeing's production costs went through the roof. Suddenly, building planes in America wasn't so cheap anymore. The financial strain was felt not just by Boeing, but by its suppliers and partners as well. And you know what happens when things aren't cheap? Companies start looking for alternatives, often outside the country. People buy them somewhere else. But wait, there's more. The tariffs were just one part of the puzzle. Remember that whole trade war thing with China? It wasn't just a headline, it had real-world implications for companies like Boeing. Yeah, that didn't help either. The trade tensions made it even harder for Boeing to compete in the global market. Turns out China buys a lot of airplanes. They are one of the largest markets for commercial aircraft. But they're not too keen on buying from a country that's actively trying to kneecap their economy. Go figure. The combination of tariffs and trade wars created a perfect storm that grounded Boeing in more ways than one. Remember when Trump said trade wars are easy to win? Well, it turns out that might not be the case for everyone involved. The complexities of international trade and the ripple effects of tariffs have proven to be a bit more challenging than initially anticipated. Well, someone should probably tell that to the folks over at Boeing. The American aerospace giant has been struggling to keep up with the shifting dynamics of the global market. See, while Boeing was busy navigating the tariff minefield, their European rival Airbus was soaring to new heights. Literally, Airbus took full advantage of the situation, capitalizing on Boeing's missteps and the favorable conditions created by the trade war. With Boeing's prices skyrocketing due to tariffs and other trade-related costs, Chinese airlines started looking for cheaper options. The increased costs made Boeing's aircraft less attractive to international buyers, who were already feeling the pinch from the trade war. And guess who was more than happy to oblige? That's right, Airbus. The European manufacturer stepped in to fill the void, offering competitive prices and reliable aircraft, making them the go-to choice for many airlines. It's like watching your ex move on with someone richer, younger, and frankly better at building airplanes. Ouch. The shift in loyalty from Boeing to Airbus has been stark and swift, leaving Boeing to grapple with the consequences. Before the trade war, China was Boeing's biggest customer. They were a key market, with Chinese airlines buying planes faster than you can say Boeing 747. But since then, crickets. The once bustling order books have gone silent, and the impact on Boeing's production lines has been significant. In fact, China hasn't placed a major order with Boeing since 2017. This prolonged drought in orders has been a major blow to Boeing's business. Let me repeat that. 2017. That's a long time in the fast-paced world of aerospace, where new orders are the lifeblood of the industry. Meanwhile, Airbus is raking in the orders, laughing all the way to the bank. Their strategic positioning and ability to adapt quickly have paid off handsomely. It's enough to make you wonder who's really winning this trade war. The intended outcomes seem to have backfired, at least for some American companies. Spoiler alert, it's not America. The fallout from the trade war has left many American workers and companies in a tough spot, questioning the true cost of these economic battles. Okay, so Boeing is hurting. China is buying planes from the French, but this is bigger than just one company, folks. This is about the entire American economy. See, when you start slapping tariffs on everything, it creates a ripple effect. And not the good kind that makes you think of relaxing on a beach. These tariffs are like a virus, spreading uncertainty and instability throughout the global economy. Businesses are holding back on investments, consumers are putting off big purchases, and economists are starting to use the R word. That's right, recession. Remember the Great Recession? Yeah, nobody wants to go back to that, but thanks to Trump's trade policies, it's starting to feel like 2008 all over again. And this time, it's not just America that's at risk. The entire global economy is teetering on the brink. Section 5. Not so fast, Mr. President. Judges ground Trump's layoff plans. Remember all those layoffs Trump was talking about? The ones he said were necessary to protect American jobs? Yeah, well, it turns out even a president can't just fire thousands of people on a whim. Who knew? A federal judge recently put the brakes on Trump's plans for mass layoffs across federal agencies. The judge ruled that these layoffs were illegal without congressional approval. It seems even the judicial branch is getting tired of Trump's my way, or the highway approach to governing. This ruling is a major blow to Trump's trade agenda. It shows that he's not above the law, and that there are consequences for his actions. It also gives hope to the millions of Americans who are worried about losing their jobs. Section 6. The experts speak. A bleak future for American airplane manufacturing? So, what does the future hold for Boeing and the American airplane manufacturing industry? Well, if you ask the experts, it's not looking good. Analysts are warning that the United States could lose its position as the global leader in airplane production. They argue that Trump's tariffs have made it too expensive to build planes in America. And with China and other countries turning to Airbus, it's going to be tough for Boeing to regain its market share. Some experts even suggest that Trump might escalate the trade war further, using tariffs as a bargaining chip in future negotiations. But as we've seen, this strategy has backfired spectacularly so far. It's like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. Section 7. Beyond Boeing, the ripple effect of Trump's tariffs. It's not just Boeing feeling the heat, folks. Remember those tariffs on steel and aluminum? Yeah, those are still a thing. And they're hurting American businesses across the board. Farmers are struggling to sell their crops overseas, manufacturers are facing higher costs for raw materials, and consumers are paying more for everything from cars to washing machines. It's a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. Even companies like Foxconn, which famously promised to create thousands of jobs in America, are scaling back their plans. It seems the allure of cheap labor in China is proving too strong to resist, even with Trump's tariffs in place. Section 8. A world on edge, global trade in the balance. The trade war isn't just a domestic issue, folks, it's a global crisis. And the rest of the world is watching, wondering what America will do next. Countries like India and those in the European Union are considering retaliatory tariffs on American goods. This could spark a full-blown global trade war with devastating consequences for everyone involved. The uncertainty created by Trump's trade policies is also threatening to unravel decades of progress on global trade liberalization. The World Trade Organization, the very institution that governs international trade, is in crisis, and the rules-based order that has underpinned global prosperity for decades is under threat. Section 9. The price of protectionism. Can America afford Trump's tariffs? So what have we learned today? Well, for starters, trade wars aren't easy to win. In fact, they're incredibly complex and often have unintended consequences. And in this case, those consequences are being felt by millions of Americans who are losing their jobs, paying higher prices, and facing an uncertain economic future. Trump's tariffs were supposed to protect American jobs. Instead, they've cost us thousands. They were supposed to make America great again. Instead, they've made us the laughingstock of the world. And they were supposed to put America first. Instead, they've put us on the brink of another recession. The price of protectionism is high, folks, and it's one that we can't afford to pay.